This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I am delighted to be joined by the former Ring Magazine and WBA Super World Super Middleweight Champion, Callum Smith. Callum, it's been, 6-7 months since we last spoke. How have you been keeping? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, really good. Just been enjoying time at home. Had a good little rest after the fight at the end of the year, and now back in training and looking towards getting back in the ring and hopefully become a world champion again. That's the goal.
Obviously, one thing I said there in the introduction was format. What's it feel like, or to hear that?
It's obviously not nice. Yeah, I got so used to being future world champion and then world champion. So now we form is a bit. It's hard to accept, but it just gives me a bit more motivation to realise how good it was to be a world champion, how good the feeling was, and it's just given me more motivation to get back there.
I know when you haven't got a fight, you do like to keep yourself to yourself. You just enjoy your time away from boxing. So with this kind of little bit of an extended break, what have you been up to?
Not much, to be honest with you. Just so not much we can do, can we really, in this where the situation is at the minute. I haven't been able to get away on holiday, but just spend the time with the family. And I've got a big family, but we're a close-knit family, and just socialise. And I've got a good group of friends, and just last year, although I only had the one fight, it was quite a busy year. It was constantly training, getting told the fight date, and then push back. So it was good to just switch off, and obviously with losing, it was good to just switch off after it and have a bit of time away. But the time away probably made me realise that I still have got goals I want to achieve. I want to be a world champion again, and I believe once I set my mind to something, I'll give it everything I can. I believe I will achieve it.
You said there, the time away is giving you time to think about what you still want to achieve, and you still have the goals and the ambitions to become a two-weight champion, Callum. How much did maybe stepping away from the sport play in your mind? Was it a serious consideration, or was it relatively easy to think?
Yeah, I know, because I've always been in a position to, like, I've done everything I wanted to. I've been a world champion, and I'd achieved a lot and earned a lot. So it was kind of, the last few fights have all been on my terms because I want to do it, not because I have to, because I'm chasing a goal. I set myself for. I'm chasing, I had to provide for my family. I'd kind of tick those boxes, so it was always down to me. So then the minute I lost, it was probably the same questions that are going around Billy Joe Saunders now. Where does the motivation come from? And whenever anything gets tough, I always say you need a reason why, whether it's a tough training session or anything. When it gets hard, the first thing you want to do is give up, and you need that reason why you can't give up. And I always had that. It was always to be a world champion or beat whoever to get myself to that. And then now you can't think, well, what is your reason why? But I want to be a two-weight world champion just as much as I want to be a one-weight world champion. It's a goal I have set myself, and I've always been spoke of as a huge 168, and it's inevitable it'll be 175 soon. So now's the time. Now it's time to be a two-weight world champion. I don't think Liverpool have ever had one, so it's a good incentive to go and get it, and to be the first from my city to win a world title at two weights.
Before we do move forwards, Callum, I do just want to kind of go back to December just to get your thoughts and how that so much time has passed. Reflecting on the fight, what do you make of it now? How many times rather have you watched it back?
I watched it once, probably the day after I got home, I think. Just to say, once you're in there, whether you win or lose, you don't really see it from the outsider's point of view. You're in there, you're involved, so sometimes you think you're better or think you're worse than what you actually was. So I watched it just to see, and it was kind of the same as I seen on the night. He's a very good fighter. He's clever, he's smart, he's effective at what he does. It weren't the best version of me for whatever reason, but I'm not going to sit and moan and make excuses. If the best version of me got in there, I can't guarantee the result would have been different, but I know it would have been a much better fight. But it's not something I've got to live with. The best version of me didn't turn up on the night, and that's on me and my behalf. And it's just to say, it's made me more determined to get back in and get back to becoming a world champion, just redeem myself for the performance I put in. But in terms of the fight itself, I knew he was good going in there. He weren't better than what I expected or anything like that. He was just defensively a lot better than what I expected. He was so hard to be clean and kind of took away what I was good at, which say is the sign of a very, very good fighter.
Obviously, one of the key talking points after the fight was the damage to, I think it was your left arm. I remember seeing it the day after the fight, Callum. It wasn't in
the left one,
it wasn't in great condition. As like an onlook. how is it first and foremost now, and how significant a part of playing the fight did that have?
Yeah, look, listen, it was sore. It kind of took away me left, not took away my left arm because I could still throw it. It was more when he was hitting on it, I couldn't really counter with it, or when I was throwing and missing, it was kind of not pulling back. It was kind of missing and carrying on like going. It did take it out the picture a bit. But like I said, I can't no guarantee the result would have been different. That's all ifs and buts. So it's not something I'll bang on about, and because the worst thing I want to do is look like I'm making excuses. But yeah, and it wasn't like it was hard luck and it was a freak accident. It was tactical from him. So you've got to kind of take your hat off to it. But yeah, it wasn't ideal. It's no secret. Probably my best shot is my left hoof or my catch left hoof, and kind of just from the first minute took that out of play.
Just a final one on it before we do move forwards. Do you regret taking it on a short notice?
No. Listen, if I could go back and do it again, I'd love a full camp with him. Just Everton, just for a better version of me, just to probably been a bit more active before, and just a bigger build-up. Everton could have been different, but I knew that taking the fight, I knew the time I had to prepare. I knew Everton was on the table. It was more, I can't have regrets because I won't be able to just accept it and move on if I'm still kicking and moaning and making excuses about it. Yeah, I'd love the full camp for it and everything else, but it was what it was. The fight was offered in a time when boxing weren't really happening. I was sat at the ring over a year, and I had to do something, and I got offered the fight that I've been chasing. And if I turned it down, there's no guarantees when it would have come again. So yeah, no regrets, but no, I would have liked things a little bit different.
Coming back now to the current situation, moving up to 175, Callum. Firstly, kind of how are you feeling? Just moving up to it, because everybody said it. I'm sure you was probably fed up of hearing it at the time. You was big at 168, but yeah. I imagine you'll still be fairly big at 175.
Yeah, I've always been big, and I've always sparred 175s, and probably look like the 175 in there with the super middle. I've always been big, and no, I think I'll benefit more. I think I'll enjoy more. Listen, I felt great for most of my career at 168, and I was huge for it. And I think I'll feel exactly like that at 175. I think I'd use it to my advantage. I've got a very good strength and conditioning coach, Johnny Reynolds, and we'll move up correctly, not just move up and I've got a few extra pounds to play with and just eat what I want. It's more, I'm still a big 175. I still have to come down to it, but it's moving up in the right ways and sort of feel good on the night, and that's something that we'll have to do correct for the first camp and then make adjustments after it and go from there. Everyone's body's different. You can't get to know your own body, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited to enter a division at thriving both on the world scene and kind of the domestic scene, even though they're probably a little bit past British level. It's not really domestic, but you know what I mean. So it's a good division, and it's just new goals to set myself. I always I love setting goals and chasing them, and I've got more at 175.
I mean, just like 175, what is the kind of the plan you can envisage to trying to engineer a way or maneuver your way back into world contention?
Yeah, I sit down with the team, and I want to be a world champion. So whatever way, whoever I have to beat, however many fights I have to have to get myself a world title shot, I'll do that. And then whoever I have to beat to get me a world title, I'll do that as well. It's just, if it's one fight in a world title, 2 fights in a world title shot, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm just going to get in the gym, train the way I always have done, aim to improve, be a better fighter, and just beat whoever my team puts in front of me. And like I said, whether it's 1 fight, 2 fights, 3 fights, whatever, I'll beat you or go through whoever I have to get a world title shot.
Just want to get your thoughts on the 175 champions. You've obviously got Joe Smith Jr., Dimitri Bivol, and Artur Beterbiev. Just what are your thoughts on all of those guys, and kind of how would you rate their weaknesses, their strengths?
They're all good fighters. Obviously, Beterbiev's probably the number 1. He's the unified champion. His record speaks for itself. He's very heavy-handed. He's big. He's experienced. Age probably isn't on his side. His last fight against Adam Dean, he didn't really look as great as he has done. So maybe time's catching up with him. Maybe it was just a bit of an activity. You don't know. But he's probably the number 1 at the minute. But he's a very big puncher, and he's a good boxer with it. He's a top amateur, but he's not invincible, which Callum Johnson showed. He can be hurt himself. Bivol's a very good fighter. He's clever. Again, he didn't look, I haven't seen the whole fight, but he didn't look the best I'm there against Richards, but look, he is a good fighter. I do think the better the opponent, the better version of him, and he is effective at what he does. And no, obviously, Joe Schmidt's a good fighter who's lost to Bivol, so you've got to probably put Bivol ahead of him. But he's found really good form recently. He's had a few setbacks. He's done it the hard way. Weren't looked after and guarded the right way. He was put in with tough fights early on in his career. He's lost a few, but he's come through. He's come good, and he's finally got his world title shot. And he's not the most flashiest or on the eye, but he's effective. He's strong. He's very heavy-handed and does the basics very well. So they're all good fighters, and you don't expect anything different for a world title shot. It's very rare you get an easy one, and they're all tough fighters, but they're not all invincible. I believe they're all beatable on the right day, and I'm looking forward to hopefully sharing the ring with one of them and getting a chance to take the belt off them.
Just on Dimitri Bivol, there were some talks that he may have.
Hello.
You're
Sorry.
back. That's okay, mate.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. Callum, there were some talks that Dimitri Bivol may have been in line to face John Ryder, a past opponent of yours. Just want to get your thoughts. I know John's looking at the David Morrell fight also at 168, but if he moved up to 175 and fought Dimitri Bivol, what would be your thoughts on that?
I just don't think Ryder's a 175, to be totally honest with you. I think he's not long being a 168. He weren't the biggest 168. And I think the size, obviously he's not the tallest. I just don't think he's as effective at 175, being totally honest. Look, he's a good fighter. He's good at what he does. I just don't think he's a 175. I think that fight would just be the opportunity, but he's mandatory for Morrell at 168. So maybe he'll stay there. He boxed last night, didn't he, Morrell, Saturday?
Yeah, he boxed last night.
Yeah, he won, and he's 5-0, I think. But look, he's a good fighter, slick southpaw. They're both tough tasks. But if I was John Ryder, I think 168 is the best way for him. But it's up to him. If he's given the opportunity to the Bivol fight, then good luck to him.
Would that be, let's say if John did fight Dimitri Bivol and he was successful, would that, in your opinion, be the only way you would rematch John Ryder if a fight was offered to you if he had a world title?
No, look, again, I've never picked and chose your fate. I'll fight whoever I have to get to a world title. If that's John Ryder at 175, then it'll make sense. If there's the winner to get a world title shot or whatever, I said before, I'll beat whoever I have to. And I want to be a world champion at 175. I believe I will be a world champion at 175, and I'll be to have to before or to get the title.
Callum, just also got you, just want to get your thoughts on a few things before I leave you to enjoy the rest of your evening. Obviously, we touched on your fight with Canelo earlier, but he recently fought, obviously, Billy Joe Saunders was successful in that. I imagine you watched it, Callum, so just want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I watched it. It was intriguing to watch. I thought Billy Joe started slow. I thought Canelo started quite quick for Canelo. He kind of stands his authority in the fight early on. I thought he was landing good body shots early on. I think around the middle, I think Billy Joe started to have success. Probably nicked a couple of rounds, but I don't know whether it was more Canelo starting to load up and try and get rid of him. And then, I did give Billy Joe a couple of rounds in it. I do think the fight was only going to go one way. I think Canelo was starting to find his rhythm, starting to land, and possibly starting to wear Billy Joe, whether it was the head or body. I do think he was starting to feel a few, but Billy Joe did have success at the middle point of the fight, and it was unfortunate, the injury, to be fair. But I do think Canelo was on his way to getting him out of there, but obviously it was a bit unfortunate, the eye injury, and it looked about well.
Since then, there's obviously been talks that an undisputed battle between Canelo and Caleb Plant could take place. Yeah. Do you think Caleb could have success against Canelo? Do you think he could beat him? Or
I think he can obviously have success. He's a world champion. He's a very good fighter. I just think he's a bit of he's like an orthodox Billy Joe. He's a good slick mover. He's got good skills, but doesn't really punch the hardest. And I think Billy Joe's southpaw made him a little bit awkward, whereas I don't think Plant's got that. So I think Canelo probably gets to him a little bit easier. And like I said, I don't think Plant's got the power to put a dent in Canelo and keep him off. So I think Canelo wins. I think Canelo wins comfortable, but it is an interesting fight. Plant is a good fighter, and he's a world champion for a reason.
And then just something which will impact you and kind of impact your career, the Matchroom and DAZN link up. Just get your thoughts on that and what it will do for UK boxing.
I think it was always going to happen. I think DAZN were getting bigger and bigger in the States. They were always going to come to England, and obviously strange seeing Matchroom leave Sky. They've been with them for so long, and you always associate Sky with Matchroom, and that's that. But I think it's good because it obviously gives fighters the chance to fight on DAZN on a regular basis in the UK, and it also gives fighters the opportunity to fight on Sky probably never would have had it. You always, if you want to fight on Sky, you have to be Matchroom, and now you'll see other fighters with other promoters getting opportunities to put shows on. And as a boxing fan, first and foremost, it just puts more boxing shows on the TV, which is a good thing. And as a fighter, there's probably more shows to get yourself put on. If you're not signed with a certain promoter, it gives you the fighters more opportunities. So I do think it's a good thing. It was, like I say, it's strange seeing Matchroom leave Sky, but if it opens up doors for other promoters to put shows on, and then it can only be a good thing for boxing.
Also, your word on your brothers as well. We haven't spoken since Liam's defeat to Magomed Kurbanov. Just want to get your thoughts on that, because it was certainly a controversial decision, to say the least.
Yeah, I thought it was a good fight from, first and foremost, from Minuto. I thought it was a good little fight. I thought Liam won it. I definitely thought Liam won it on the night. And watching it back, when we got home, I definitely think he won the fight. But it's all in hindsight. We kind of knew we were up against it going over there. We knew we had to win convincingly. But I definitely thought, there was only one winner after that fight. And hopefully the reaction to it, I know a lot of people had him winning themselves. Hopefully it won't affect his position where he was at. He's still in line for the fights that he wants to get, and it hasn't put him back as much as we thought the loss would have. So I think he's happy. He's happy with his performance. I don't think he was 100%, but again, with the layoff, like myself and everyone else after lockdown, we aren't seeing the best of everyone in the first fight back. But I definitely do think he more than done enough to win the fight and deserve to come home a winner.
One name which continues to be floated back for Liam is Jesse Vargas. I know they've had a few exchanges over social media, Callum. What would be your thoughts if that fight did go ahead? How good of a fight could that be?
I think it's a good fight. I think stylistically, they won't have to look for each other. They both got good, box fighter kind of styles. I think that's why Liam wants it. He kind of knows it'll be fan friendly, and they both got good profile. They both got good rankings. So the winner pushes closer for a world title shot, which I'm sure what they both want. But for some reason, the fight just doesn't seem to be materialising. It's been spoken about many a times, and they always seem to have a fight each in between, and it just doesn't. I don't know for whatever reason. I think it's something to do with the money Vargas wants, or he's contracted to. I'm not too sure, but it just doesn't seem to be materialising, which is a shame, because I do think it would be a good fight, and a fight I think Liam wins and pushes him closer to where he wants to be.
And then, of course, Stephen recently announcing his retirement from the sport. Callum, just kind of a word on him and everything he's achieved throughout his career. And I imagine somebody you looked up to when you first started out in boxing.
Yeah, massively. Ever since I was a little kid and started boxing, I always had Stephen on a massive pedestal. He was always someone. I seen what he was doing in the GB team. I wanted to do exactly that, and then he turned professional. And I always just wanted to emulate him and do everything the way he did. He always, he lived a good life. He trained properly. He done everything correct, and he was your ideal pro. And he has a great career. He was a little unlucky not to win a world title on those two occasions, but besides that, he had a very, very good career. And I knew he weren't going to fight again for a long time but when I seen him officially announce it, it was a bit emotional. Same with Paul. I knew Paul had retired, but when I seen it on Instagram and you read the words, it must be tough for them. It's all he's ever done. He's known boxing since he was probably 8-9 years of age, and he's given his whole life to it. And to finally accept that it's done, it must be tough for him. But I say he gave a lot to it, and it was kind of. The lockdown kind of killed a bit of momentum, the age he was at, and he couldn't then afford to just get back in the ring after about 2 years out at 35, 36 years of age and expect to be as good as he was at 30. So it was probably an easy decision, but a tough decision as well.
Callum, just with Stephen, obviously Stephen retiring, Paul's retired now, and yourself and Liam kind of looking for one last push towards world level. Has the conversation ever come up that this is kind of a final chapter of the Smith brothers as professional boxers?
No, I don't think it's something you kind of speak about. I've made no secret. I've always wanted to retire early rather than late. I said I wanted to retire at 30, and then obviously the pandemic kind of ruined that a bit, and then obviously losing's made me want to get a world title again before I do retire. But I've always wanted to get in and get out. You see far too many really, really good fighters overstay the welcome and end up losing and staying in a little bit too long and losing to fighters they probably should have beat a few years ago. And it's sad to see. And you see some even better fighters stay in way, way too long, like Roy Jones and stuff like that. But I've always made a promise that I will get out sooner rather than later. But I don't want to get out and kick myself that I could have done more. So that's why I've always said I want to fight the best. I want to test myself. I want to see how good I really am and achieve as much as I can, as quick as I can, and then get out. And then I think Liam's just at the position now where he just wants one last big fight. He wants one last push to win a world title. And again, not just now, but throughout his whole career, he's always fought whoever was offered. He's never shied away from a fight. He's had some really good fights, and he's in that position now. Whenever the phone rings or any fight is offered, he jump at the opportunity. I think Liam just enjoys fighting more than anyone else. I think he'd do it till he's 50 if he could. But again, no, he's not going to stay longer than he needs to.
It does make me laugh that you say that, because Stephen said to me the exact same thing about Liam fighting on until he was 50.
Yeah, he just loves it, to be honest.
Callum,
fighting and playing Sunday League footy till he's about 50, I think.
I'll tell you what, I saw a brilliant photo of Liam the day after the Curbing off.
The day after the fight, yeah. Madman.
Callum, just a couple more from me. Just get your thoughts on two fights, which are, we expect them to come up. One of them being Fury Wilder 3. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about the Fury Age Undisputed bout. That's no longer going on. Now we will see that trilogy bout between Fury and Deontay Wilder, and what seems most probably Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk. Just your thoughts on both of those before I leave you for this evening.
Yeah, the Fury Wilder one is, I still think it's interesting me. I think if you go off the second fight, then obviously it was an easy win for Fury. He was far too big and he bullied him, and I won't be surprised if he does the exact same again, maybe even earlier. But if you look at the first fight, Wilder's he was basically half a second from knocking him flat out. So he still always has that danger. It's what version of Wilder turns up. If he turns up and goes for Fury, then it could be interesting again. But if he's mentally done after the second fight and he's mentally broken, he probably won't know that himself until he steps in there for the third time. But it's not a foregone conclusion. I do pick Fury to win. I think he stops him again, but there's no more dangerous fighter than Deontay Wilder, in my opinion. He certainly can punch, and again, say if he believes he can do it, then it could be interesting. And Joshua Usyk, I think it's a great fight. I'm a big Joshua fan. I've known him a long time, but I'm a huge Usyk fan. I think he's a brilliant fighter. I love his personality. Is he big enough to do it with your Joshuas and your AJs, your Furies? I don't know. I think that's what we'll have to find out. He's got all the skills to beat the two of them, whether he's got the size to be able to do it and keep them off for 12 rounds. I don't know. I think that's what makes it interesting. I think early on, if it's a boxing match, I think Usyk is probably the better fighter skill-wise. But I think Josh was a bigger man, and I think if he lands, I do think Usyk's used to taking shots off 14 stone 4 fellas. Can he take one off big lump like Joshua and keep him off for 12 rounds? I think that's the biggest question mark, and I think that's what makes it interesting.
Right, Callum, just a final message then before I do let you go. Just to obviously everybody who's supporting you and following you, those who couldn't get out to Texas in December, and those who will continue to follow your journey. Everybody's been waiting to hear from you for a while, so just a final message, like I say.
Yeah, just thanks for the support. I've had great support ever since I turned pro. I've got great fans, and I'm not the most talkative and engaging with them, but I do appreciate them all. And stay tuned. I will be a world champion. I will bring another world title back to Liverpool before I'm done.
All right, Callum, it's a pleasure to catch up with you. I'm sure we'll speak soon now. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Speak to you soon, mate.